I'm here at the trailhead for Sweet Creek Falls. Let's get on the trail, my friend. Okay, so we are in for a treat today. We are doing the Sweet Creek Falls hike, approximately 1.9 miles, 300-foot elevation gain. People going by 5 waterfalls, according to my research. First, I'm just going to stop here and pan back and look at the epicosity of this. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's my first time here, so I'm figuring out the digs. Looks like we can go to the right or the left. I think I want to go to the left. I'll come down here if it's a little access point to Sweet Creek. Why not, right? Oh, I see. This is just a little amuse-bouche, little viewpoint of beautiful Sweet Creek. I do always recommend you stop and take these. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So this is Sweet Creek. We will be paralleling this creek for our hike today, but nice little initial vantage point perspective. Look up the creek. Pretty darn beautiful. So we continue along. Okay, so when you first start the hike, you get a little vantage point of Sweet Creek. I like that. Now we are on the trail proper. So again, a 1.9 miles, 300-foot elevation gain, going by 5 waterfalls. Split Falls, Punchbowl Falls. We got our first little bench there, dig that. And then it's either Annice or Annice. It's A-N-N-I-C-E, so I don't really know how to pronounce that. Then we have Elk, and then last but not least, namesake for this trail, Sweet Creek Falls. Ooh, I love this bridge. This is beautiful. A rustic vibe. You can tell they built this area out very well. Definitely a destination hike. Stop here, take a look. Look at that, very nice. Beautiful Sweet Creek, raging and roaring below. And not much of a view that way, keeping it real. Continue along. Just got started. I can already tell this is a very high quality trail. They invested a lot in the infrastructure. I can tell it's very well built out. Nice rustic bridge at the very beginning and an overlook of Sweet Creek. Really high quality benches. So this is absolutely a feature hike, a destination hike in the area. I think a top 10 hike in Siuslaw, and we're coming up to our first falls already. This would be Split Falls. Probably a better vantage point up here. And oh man, this is beautiful. I am digging this zone. So here's our trail. Here's a bench. Little access viewpoint there. And it looks like this is the main one down here. So this is gorgeous, my friend. Oh man, this is awesome. Very careful, this is slick rock. Here's Sweet Creek. I'm gonna come down here very gingerly, watching my step. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. I am digging that, my friend. This is Sweet Creek, meandering around these slick rocks. And ultimately you can see it goes down and the creek meanders on by this luscious green wonderland zone here in Siuslaw National Forest. Man, this is beautiful. I am digging this. Make sure you watch your step on those rocks. Even have a cool bench here at this junction. And we're gonna be hiking that way, but I'm gonna come over here and see if I can get a better view. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So that is the first waterfall technically here on Sweet Creek Trail. I also kind of like this log here, give them a little character. See Sweet Creek above the falls. Oh, this is beautiful. Got a little access point down here as well. Definitely want to be careful, but gives you a nice vantage point of Sweet Creek as we continue along. So I came down this little viewpoint area. We'll traverse back up it. Be very careful when you come down these because of all these little trail goblins and rocks, mud. But if you do it slow, come down safely, a lot of times it's well worth it. Let's continue along Sweet Creek Trail. So right when you get started, you got a nice little view of Sweet Creek, and then you cross a rustic bridge, and then you got the split falls. So you get rewarded right away on this world-class waterfall hike. It's my first time ever here. I really haven't heard much about it. I live in Central Oregon, so I don't really hear a lot about this part of the state from where I live, but this is legend. I'm digging this. Oh man, that is gorgeous. Come around that corner and you're just like angels singing. Look at that. That is beautiful. My gosh, this is beautiful. I'm gonna continue over here. And here's our trail. See, you're getting good views of the waterfall from here. Digging it. Waterfall system with really two waterfalls. And there you got side shot of the falls. Let's continue along Sweet Creek Trail. So we've already seen 3 really high quality waterfalls. When you're on a trail like this, you often see these little side access points. I always recommend taking these if you're comfortable. Of course, practice situational awareness, do so at your own risk, but oftentimes these will give you a vantage point that is well worth the effort of coming out. Situation like this, you see how slick this rock is, so you gotta be very careful. This is the top. Beautiful raging creek. We actually have 2 access points. You can go back up there or back over there where I started from. Let's hike on back over. So we leave this little waterfall overlook area, get back on our trail, and we're back on Sweet Creek Trail. Oh, this is such a beautiful area. This is luscious green. Today is May 17th, 2025, and this is kind of a perfect time to come. It says it's been raining, so it's a little wet, slick. May seem like an odd thing to highlight, but watch out for this little rocky section right before you get to the bridge. When it's slick rocks, it's actually hyper dangerous. I can easily see somebody falling here. With that said, here we are, coming over to this little railing section. And this gets us really high quality views of Sweet Creek. Look at that. That is gorgeous, my friend. They really did a good job on this infrastructure, really built this out. Just got a money shot of Sweet Creek. This is very legit. I am digging it, my friend. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Another little waterfall system off in the distance. Beautiful waterfall system. And this is really beautiful. Really well built out. I'll show you. This is our railing with a little platform, and then here is beautiful creek. Oh, look at that, my friend. That is gorgeous. As we continue. Here's a perspective of our platform railing overlooking beautiful creek. And look at that, my friend. As we continue along. The farther up here you get, the more situational awareness you have to practice. Watch out for these pretty thick trail goblin rocks, especially when it's rainy and slick like it is right now. I am gingerly walking and practicing situational awareness, being mindful of my foot placement, because it's very easy to take a tumble here if you're not paying attention. This is not autopilot mode, this is concentration mode. That said though, I think it's very safely traversable. There's a nice little rock section. Ooh, I like the creek right there. Be aware, we've got a little bit of rock climb right here. Nothing too crazy. I think most able-bodied adults ought to be able to do this. But just be aware that it's something that you got to do. I will show you as I walk it. Again, very gingerly. Stepping on rocks here, my friend. Very doable though, nothing too crazy. Kind of interesting. Made it through that section. And we are climbing the muddy trail. We got a broken bridge, a lot of orange and yellow safety tape. I will respect that. Of course, I would never try to climb that. So yeah, the bridge is out. You got some orange on the other side. You got this yellow tape here. You got this sign that says danger. You got this that says caution, do not climb. I would take them at the word. Do not try to climb that. That looks sketchy AF. That looks hyper dangerous. I could see somebody really hurting or even killing themselves trying to get up that. Do not climb that. Respect the danger sign. Respect the caution yellow tape. Unfortunately, the bridge is down. Okay, so I'm on the other side of the bridge, and no, I did not illegally cross it. I think that's highly dangerous and very stupid. What I did is I actually backtracked to where I started the trail at the Homestead Trailhead, and I hopped in my vehicle and drove up to the next trailhead, which is further down Sweet Creek Trail. I came down that, and then I hung a right, and essentially takes you all the way back to the other side of this bridge, which is where I'm at now. So if you just get back in your car, go to the next trailhead, and then come down to a junction, turn right instead of left. Left is over to Sweet Creek Trail Falls Overlook. Right brings you back to this spot. You can pretty much pick up where you left off and continue your hike. I think this is such a world-class hike, you'd be crazy not to do it. Let's continue along. We're coming up to the Annice Overlook zone, but first we'll stop here and take a look at this. Gotta say, I love these stairs here. This has got a really epic feel. Continue along. So we are entering the Annice Falls zone. Very well built out infrastructure area with a platform and a railing for safety. It's a memoriam waterfall, which I appreciate. A local individual named Annice. And we are continuing where we left off on the other side of the bridge. As I said, a little bit of logistical magic. Going to the next trailhead, you can continue where you left off and get the full Sweet Creek Trail experience. I will point out you have these little lookout spots right here. Be very careful, especially with kiddos, letting them walk over there. That's a steep cliff. That said though, this is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. This is amazing. Oh, this is a really beautiful system down there. Oh, that is gorgeous. Oh, this is beautiful. Here is our trail with our platform and our railing system. And here, if I stop right here, you can get a good sense of the actual height, the corkscrewing drop of Annice Falls. Oh, this is beautiful. So we are now officially entering the Annice Falls zone. We got this very high quality platform with a railing for safety, very well bowed out, good infrastructure. And you got several money shots of beautiful Annice Falls. Also love these calming pools of tranquility down below. Pretty darn epic as the waterfall system rages down. There's our trail. Let's continue along. Yeah, they put a big investment in this platform. Sweet Creek Trail is world class. This is pretty darn epic. And get a lot of different vantage points of the creek as well as Annice Falls. And this is Annice Falls in memory of Annice Ellingson Johnson, Melpleton Elementary School Secretary from 1959 to 89, friend and native of Sweet Creek. I really like these memoriams. I think it's a beautiful gesture to name this gorgeous waterfall after Annice. This is beautiful, my friend. Let's continue along. So we're on this platform, got a railing for safety. I'm glad it's here. That's a very beautiful little pool right there. Very high quality system. Let's continue. Man, this is beautiful. Oh, I love this. Look at that rock. The slick rock this water is meandering around is really beautiful. And you can see another waterfall system off in the horizon. Sweet Creek is the gift that keeps on giving, really. Gotta watch your step because it's a pretty rocky trail. It could be pretty slick. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous, my friend. Epic. There's almost too many beautiful spots to look. Continue along. Another little railing. It's like the last part of this particular railing section. We'll come back over here and take a look, get a sense of the creek going down this little canyon section. Oh man, this is beautiful. All right, so I think we've finished our platform railing section onto the trail proper. Rocky section. It's been raining and the waterfall just creates a general dampness and condensation in the air, so make sure you watch your footwork, practice situational awareness, but most people ought to be able to do it. I also appreciate there's all these little spots you can stop. We will continue this way, my friend. This is such a beautiful trail. I gotta say, this is my first time ever here at Sweet Creek Trail. I think this is world class. I think this is a top 10 waterfall hike in the state of Oregon, frankly. I think it's a little bit off the beaten path. I think a lot of different regions of Oregon simply don't know it's here. But if you're coming down to the coast here, Coos Bay area, Florence area, I would absolutely stop here, make a point of driving over and doing a little partial day hike over here. It's 1.9 mile, 300 feet. And I will say, coming from Florence, it is perfectly paved all the way to the trailhead. So you don't even have a sketchy forest road. You gotta meander down. So infrastructure's on point. The road's great, trail's great, good bridges, except for the one that's temporarily down, but it looks like they already have the wood there to rebuild it. So I'm sure that will be fixed soon. And then all of the railings and the platforms, it's a pretty high quality zone. This also has that rainforest feel. Like, let me stop here and pan back. I mean, the epicosity of the forest is on point, my friend. This is world class. This feels very much like Olympic National Park. I was actually just there recently, and if I didn't know I was on the Oregon coast, Sweet Creek Trail, I could be convinced I'm right standing smack dab in the middle of Olympic National Forest right now, little Olympic National Park. So pretty darn epic zone. If you are a waterfall aficionado, or you just like a high quality hike, if you come down to Oregon coast, I would absolutely make a point to drive over here. This is very well worth it. Oh, this is gorgeous. As we continue along, making good progress this way. Here's yet another gorgeous waterfall system. Gotta love that. Look at that. Different tiers, different levels. That is beautiful. This one also has a couple different spots you can go down to Shoreline and get a money shot vantage point, which I appreciate. Oh, look at that. That's a money spot right here. But see right here, go down there and you get a money shot. Oh, this is gorgeous. That's not even the only spot you can get a money shot. Come over here, and lo and behold, you can climb down straight ahead. I would use that tree right there as kind of your bracing and go down that little section and walk on that slick rock and take a money shot. This is really beautiful, my friend. Continue along. This is definitely a little elevation section, but you're getting a lot of eye candy right next to you, so can't complain. Eye candy always makes the elevation a little less cumbersome. A lot of little trail goblins that you can very easily trip on, so while you're gawking at the creek, you gotta make sure you're paying attention to your fancy footwork, navigating your root system successfully and effortlessly. We got to the top of that section. Still getting all these little peaks of the creek. Can't get enough of them, really. Look at the moss on these trees. Oh, this is beautiful, and the moss on the rocks, really. It's a wet, mossy wonderland. Really gives it a beautiful vibe. Nice little root system here. This is definitely what I call a sensory overload hike. There's always something just kind of activating your senses. You never really have a boring ho-hum section of the trail. The trail itself is gorgeous, the forest is gorgeous, the creek is gorgeous, and then every couple minutes you got another little waterfall. I mean, what's not to love about Sweet Creek Trail? Look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, that's world class. That right there would be worth a hike in itself. That is a money shot. And that's just one of the 5 main waterfalls in the zone. I mean, this is ridiculous. Let's continue along. I think sensory overload hike is definitely the way to describe this one. The forest, the creek, the 5 waterfalls, all working together in this symbiotic relationship to just take this whole area to the next level. It's magical. I think you can tell by the language I'm using, I am falling in love and becoming a fan. Definitely a top 10 waterfall hike in the great state of Oregon. That is without a doubt. And so let me give you an example. You see that rock right there. You can step out there, be careful, and that gives you a money shot of your waterfall system right there. So they've thoughtfully created vantage points where you can stop and get your money shot. And I'm definitely taking silent videos as I go here so that I can have a silent video at the end of this hike in this video, as well as a separate silent video for different silent perspective series I like to make. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Oh, this area is on point. So beautiful. You can climb down here and walk out on slick rock, whatever you're comfortable doing. Of course, do so at your own risk. Practice situational awareness and get another money shot at this creek zone. Yet another place to stop. Starting to get above the creek a little bit. You can see it's getting down there lower and lower. We are definitely ascending. Could sense it in our trail. And here is the critical junction. Staying right there will take us over to the Sweet Creek Falls. Turning left here is actually where I parked the second time. It's just a couple hundred feet up there and you are back to the trailhead. So I moved my car there and then came down here so I can pick up where I left off with the washed out bridge. And now I am continuing along to Sweet Creek Falls, and you stop here and look down on the creek again. As we continue along. So this is the approach, according to the signage, to Sweet Creek Falls, namesake of this whole trail, namesake of the creek, the end of the line for this 1.9 mile, approximate 300 foot elevation gain hike. Ooh, I love this interesting trunk, place for the kiddos to hide. And we will continue along. Man, this area is just so beautiful. Every time I come around a corner, like my jaw almost drops. Like, look at this. Look at these trees, mossy. And that stump straight ahead is kind of the quintessential definition of rustic. I mean, look at that. Big, gorgeous area. You look down on Sweet Creek, meandering on by. Here's the trail. See another very cool rustic stump. Now, this area is on point. You don't even need to go up to Olympic National Park. You're kind of in a little swath of it right here. Sweet Creek Trail, gotta say. And in the final section, I am gonna stop here and pan back and show you the epicosity of these trees. Look at this. Mossy to the very top. Legend. Digging it. Really high quality zone. I will also say there's just a wetness of this area. So we look at the creek. That's to be expected with all the condensation, the mist in the air from the creek and the waterfalls. As we continue along, we're panning back here. Oh, look at the epicosity of those trees. Legend, my friend, legend. A really gorgeous area. I am digging it. And I do believe we're on the final run up to Sweet Creek Falls. The end of the line, my friend. The edge of glory. Step over the pipe. I can sense some falls on the other side of this zone. We'll see what that is. And coming around here, I do believe we're getting our first sights of the beautiful Sweet Creek Falls. Oh, that is gorgeous. That is a beautiful waterfall, my friend. Walking through the final section. See a little sign here. I think this is the end of the line of the trail. Yes, it is, my friend. And here we are. So it says upper viewpoint. There is an upper trail you can take up there to get a better view of Sweet Creek Falls. We came from the lower. Well, before we do that, let's come up here and take a money shot of the beautiful Sweet Creek Falls. Watching my footing right here. And step here, step here, step here, and step here. And here it is, my friend. Look at that. The absolutely beautiful Sweet Creek Falls. Oh, that is gorgeous. I'm loving this calming pool of tranquility. It's very inviting. I can imagine coming here July or August and wanting to swim in that. Like, that looks epic. Oh, this is beautiful, my friend. The absolutely gorgeous, majestic, incredible, world-class Sweet Creek Falls. That is actually not the end, because you see this little sign that says upper viewpoint. So we'll go take this little bonus area, come around here, and definitely got to watch your step. It's a bit muddy and slick, but most able-bodied people ought to be able to do this, no problem. So we're gonna come up this zone and come up and get one final view of Sweet Creek Falls before we turn around. Got some stairs here. We are ascending, my friend. Ooh, got a little stair system here. Go up this, definitely use the railing. Couple steps. Very Swiss Family Robinson treehouse vibe going on. Very cool. Come up here, and I don't really know how far this goes, but I'm a sucker for a good waterfall perspective, so whatever it is, very well worth it, I'm sure. Come around here. Very wet and muddy, but nothing too crazy. We are still ascending, got some roots on the trail. Making sure the trail goblins don't trip me. And continuing up. Wow, this is really well built out up here. This is pretty cool. Good shade up here. This is awesome. Come up here. Here's our little upper viewpoint area. You got to watch your step. Practice situational awareness. Great little perspective of the base of Sweet Creek Falls. Look at that. That color is almost giving off a little bit of a blue vibe. I'm digging that. That is gorgeous. We're standing here at the very top of Sweet Creek Falls. Watch you go over this beautiful mossy slick rock. This, my friend, absolutely spectacular. So you got a railing right here. It does look like you can go on the other side of the railing up to the rocks there, but if you do that, do so your own risk, practice situational awareness. I would not go right out to the very edge, because if you slip and fall, you will die. And that is very slick, wet, mossy rock. So it'd be very easy, no matter how coordinated you are, to slip and fall. I went out to where I was comfortable, kind of right on the edge of this geoformation with a lot of rock around me. So I didn't feel like I was in any danger. But again, if you go out there to get a money shot, because around the corner you get the very top of Sweet Creek Falls, do so at your own risk. Practice situational awareness. I'm sure they stopped the fence here because they want to shield themselves from liability. So if you do that and things go wrong, it's 100% on you. So that is the top of Upper Sweet Creek Falls. I think it's absolutely worth coming up to this upper viewpoint area. As we leave Sweet Creek Falls, let's head on back our lower trail back to the trailhead. Oh man, I gotta say, I have fallen in love with this trail, Sweet Creek Trail. It's my first time ever here. I live in Central Oregon, coming down to the Florence, Coos Bay, Oregon Dunes area. Did a quick search on All Trails, saw this trail, thought what the heck. But now that I'm here, I am leaving a super fan. I think this is legitimately a top 10 waterfall hike in the great state of Oregon. There are 5 world-class falls on this trail. It's only 1.9 mile, 300 foot elevation gain. And first time here, didn't even really know about it. And I am leaving an evangelist, super fan. So do not sleep on Sweet Creek Trail. I would say if you're coming down to the Oregon Dunes, coming down to the Oregon coast, Coos Bay, Florence, this section of Oregon, highly recommend carving off a half of a day, maybe 2-3 hours, come over here. I will also say the infrastructure is on point. The road is paved all the way to the 2 trailheads. The first trailhead is the Homestead. The second one is closer to Sweet Creek Falls. However, I wouldn't just cherry pick the Sweet Creek Falls. There's 5 world-class waterfalls. And I think they're all quite stunning. So I would invest the couple hours, 2-3 hours it takes to do the full 1.9 mile hike, 300 foot elevation gain. Very much worth it. One of these sensory overload areas where every step is magic. You got the luscious green forest, You've got the creek, Sweet Creek, absolutely on point. And then you got the 5 world-class waterfall sections. It's not just the waterfalls themselves, but it's full systems and really quite a spectacle. So never really a section of this trail where you get bored. Each section's got its own little unique footprint. Love this tree. Let me stop and just fan back. Look at that. Legit legend. I'm gonna come in this way. Ooh, I love that common pool of tranquility down below. That's cool. We continue along. Beautiful little section of the trail. This beautiful zone is gorgeous. As we continue along, beautiful Sweet Creek Trail. Oh, this is beautiful. Let me stop and pan back. Love this glowing green section of luscious greenery. Very cool little rustic log railing and platform system. Oh, look at how beautiful this area is. We got a creek down below. You can see the platform and railing straight ahead overlooking the creek. Very nice. As we return back across this platform with the railing, this creek is on point. This is beautiful. Oh man, this is such a gorgeous area. I think this is a world-class waterfall hike. Pretty short, 1.9 miles and about 300-foot elevation gain. It's got a myriad of 5 waterfalls, all really high quality. Area's really well built out infrastructure-wise. You can tell they put a lot of love into this platform, into this railing, the bridge. So I really appreciate what they've done here at Sweet Creek Trail. I think this is destination worthy. If you're coming down to the Oregon coast, or if you just live in this area, then I don't know why you wouldn't want to come over here and enjoy this waterfall hike. This is epic and legend, my friend, epic and legend. There's that access point we took down overlooking the falls. As we continue along, here's this gorgeous waterfall basin, and got a really good money shot here on the left. I'll caution you that that's a steep drop off right there, like dangerous, like potentially fatal, so be very careful as you approach that. In fact, you can come back here and pretty much get the same view without the danger, get the money shot of this cascading waterfall system. Look at that. As we continue along, this is one of those hikes where it's always fun to do the out part because you're seeing the waterfalls for the first time, but the back part is equally as beautiful because you get to walk by your close trusty friends, the waterfalls, a second time. So it's 5 waterfalls on this trail. When you can go to the end, really 10 waterfall views if you count the out and back as 2 separate bites at the apple. So you get 10 waterfall perspectives in 1.9 miles. It's a very low effort to high reward ratio payoff hike. I think this is definitely a world-class waterfall hike in the state of Oregon. I think if people are making lists, top 10 waterfall hikes in the state of Oregon, Sweet Creek Trail should be on the list, in my humble opinion. It's really high quality, definitely a destination hike. I think it's worth coming out here to view this. As we continue along, crossing back over this rustic bridge. Love this bridge, very high quality. It's a good vibe to it. Enjoy views down of Sweet Creek as we do so. And we'll get across our bridge. As I said, first time ever here at Sweet Creek Trail. I am leaving a Super Fan Evangelist. I highly recommend Sweet Creek Trail.